Hello again. This is Nguyen and David Stavisski. We're on the Linh Talks Tech podcast. So today we are talking about the powering of IT operations automation using IT-Conductor Maestro Agentic platform. Quick introduction. IT-Conductor platform today is the orchestration framework for monitoring, management, and automation. So Maestro is the agentic AI that extends the capability of the existing automation platform into the AI. So the use case will cover for incidents, chats, workflows, etc. So David, why don't you give us an overview of the Maestro?
Okay. So a few years ago, when the whole AI hype started, we had to get on a bandwagon. So we pretty much made IT Conductor first-class citizen in agentic AI since then. Coincidentally, the architecture was kind of fitting, so wasn't really a big paradigm change. Just had to connect it to the external LLMs and add some tools and functionality, and it became, as I said, the first class citizen. So Maestro AI agents in IT Conductor is really just another type of activity, right? But a very specific activity that interacts with the IT Conductor data, pretty
Mhm.
much any object, and it is of course done through the tooling that we provide, and I'll touch upon that. But conceptually, just another activity that interacts with the data and with the inputs. Typically, as you already mentioned, what users create incidents, either chats, specific chats, pre-created workflows that are scheduled or manually started, and also recoveries. So we have this so-called recovery actions. You can actually now trigger AI agent as a recovery, right?
Right.
And another is alerts. Alerts is another form of recovery, right? But we have a specific way of scanning the alerts that created by any system and analyzing them by the AI agent, and then
Hmm.
it takes action.
Right.
So in essence, these are inputs, and then it analyzes and does stuff that decides necessary. And with the tools that we have, we allow it to pretty much create anything, any recovery, any follow up that is possible in IT Conductor today. Manually, it's
Hmm.
also possible through the AI agent. Important notice is that it acts from a security perspective. There is very clear separation of duties, right? Because it acts as a dedicated account or
Hmm.
user. We call it AI bot user type that follows and adheres to all the security permissions and authorizations and everything. So
So basically, it's full outback control in terms of what the agent can do on
exactly.
the tooling side, right? It's based on the actual user security you assign for
Exactly.
the agents.
Exactly. It's just another person in essence. So
Hmm.
you grant it access, and then it will be able to do to see and to act upon that based on RBAC,
Hmm.
role-based access control. So from that perspective, this all fell into kind of neatly into the framework that we already have. So there's no additional security holes or exceptions. It's all acting properly with the same framework.
It's just so for the audience to understand, because we've been in the orchestration and automation solution for years, what this agentic AI is doing is we going way beyond just basic query type of analysis, which, we do data gathering for monitoring purposes. But this is taking it to the next level where the automated actions can occur, whether it's based on some kind of, like I said, the automated outcomes. At the bottom, we talk about maintaining incidents, triggering recoveries, and then doing a bunch of things, including complex workflow. We're gonna cover some cases where things like it's like a sidekick. It's working alongside of a workflow. It's monitoring it. It's initiating it, and it's doing the actual automation actions as well.
Yeah, and as we progress and gain, let's say, confidence in the model capabilities, and they're also improving, right, constantly. So we're also expanding the reach because IT Conductor is already the system of records and the actionable interfaces, right, all
Hmm.
together. So what we enable really with Maestro agents is to look at the data that was collected, and it can do historical data. It can analyze the charts and everything. We just provided with the tools to look at the charts and understand, okay, performance and growing, and then it can actually do whatever IT Conductor is configured to do on the systems. Okay, based on, of course, access and everything. But the limits just what we configure. So, for example, we have SSH access, right? So we can wrap any command that agent needs to have access to, and create tool for it, and then it can execute the proper command on proper system. With proper authorizations and security credentials that are given to that agent. Or it can go into SAP and start a job, for example, as a recovery. Again, all within the proper credentials and authorization and everything that associated with that.
More importantly, also, is not only taking action. So part of what most of enterprise that we talk to care about is also, of course, the access control for it, but also the auditability, right? The traceability of what was actually triggered and what ran and when it ran and why it ran. So there is a complete kind of accountability from what we call almost anything here is either a service ticket or a change request that has audit trails for clear accountability of the actions taken.
Yep, and taking it even further, because IT Conductor is the integration engine, we can also add additional interfaces into customer systems, be it ServiceNow or whatever system of records they have. In many cases, it's custom or very specific to this customer. So that all can be part of the workflow with AI, agentic AI stuff. It comes exceedingly easy to do that. You just create a tool, right? And you tell in plain English that after that, post update, and it will do it without really grunt work of integrating the workflows and stuff like this. So that's the biggest breakthrough with agentic AI and Gen AI in general in application to this.
All right, let's dive in, get some example and details if you want to walk us through some use case that we've already kind of deployed.
Okay, so let's start look at some incident management. What we have today is all of our customers, our tenants, when they register, they automatically have a Maestro agent, service desk assistance, as we call it, assistant. So in essence, it reads the tickets created by customers, and we use tickets widely for pretty much everything, right? So any customer request should be a ticket. So it has a record, it has comments, so it's good practice to do that. So it's auditable, it's traceable, and everything else. So now Maestro is reading these messages. So when customer creates one, it actually goes and sees if it can answer it. We give it instructions not to interrupt human conversations with the support analyst. Support analyst answered that it will wait for like a day or something before it starts intervening and trying to answer. And some of the questions that you can post as tickets could be pretty open-ended. So, for example, there was a message posted like this: please perform health check for all SAP systems that are not in maintenance mode. So as you can see, it went on, start analyzing all these systems. Okay, so let's give some context. What is all these systems? And so this is for a tenant, right? So the tenant is Audisoft. It's our sister company, and we use it as a guinea pig for test and everything. So it has IT Conductor already configured to monitor a number of systems. Because we have tools and a way to tell what's there, you don't really need to give details. In this statement, you just provide a very generic answer. And it understands, it goes and pulls everything, right? What's available. And many turns, it does many turns. It's not a single turn, it's probably like 30 turns because it's so many, nukes there that it needs to go. And let's look at what it provided. So it went on and, high level at availability, and then start digging into specific systems. And because IT Conductor allows you to monitor the whole hierarchy, whole infrastructure, supporting infrastructure of SAP. SAP doesn't live alone, it lives in the environment. So it went down to databases, OS, start analyzing them as well, find out alerts on critical issues,
Mm-hmm.
provide the recommendations. So this is the way to go, right? So instead of a human doing this, so this is being done, could be done on demand or like through the ticket, or you can create a dedicated skill, quote unquote. We call it canned AI agent that we pre-create and say, okay, schedule it every day and give it instructions to post a ticket after you're done, a new ticket. It will
Yeah.
actually will go and create a new ticket with similar information, and the ticket will be notified upon, and all people who are responsible for supporting the system will get the ticket. So they get an email in essence with all that text. And they
Mm-hmm.
can look at it, and so you don't need to really go and check the system. It was done for you,
Yeah, this is
right?
extremely useful. I see, for instance, we have customers who do regular system maintenance window, right? Maybe weekend patching or whatever. Today, I mean, the process itself involves people actually checking before, checking after, all manual. I think we can initiate this and say, hey, before you take your maintenance, this is your health status of your landscape, and then automatically run a health check again afterwards. So that's kind of, one thing out of the way that saves quite a bit of time. And also have the record for, again, audit for the change requests.
Yeah. So okay, let's bring another example. So here's another ticket was created, right? So somebody requests to patch a kernel on Linux system such and such.
Hmm.
Right. Again, it's all in context. So this system configured an IT conductor to be monitored as part of the SAP landscape. Maestro went and answered it. Of course, he didn't do the actual patch deployment because we have a workflow for that, and we currently don't configure it automatically, so it would trigger automatically because of the sensitivity of this thing. But what it did preliminary checks, right? So it analyzed file systems, if there's enough space, if there are issues, and then they handed it to human in essence. And the humans will take care of it. Actually, a human actually did take care of it, right? It's
Yeah. There was an automated workflow associated with this request, and that workflow is actually to completely patch the server and restart it. So that is the power of this kind of both a request-driven change request. Like if you have a patching window, you need to ensure that there's a change record. So this is kind of the ticket. It does pre-checks, but it can launch that workflow because there's associated tooling for that.
Yeah, if we let him let it, it will launch a workflow and will do it for you, and then report back the results.
Hmm.
So that's the ultimate loop. And the next step would be to analyze the level of patching and see common vulnerabilities that we also collect, and then make a decision based on that. But that will be, humans will not be needed
Yeah,
at
and
that point.
yeah, you can see this one also. We are currently leveraging similar approach for SAP kernel patching, right? So part of the whole compliance thing right now, a lot of customers struggling for when they get a automated SAP early watch report that, saying their environment is out of date with kernel or whatever, and typically there's an action plan to deal with that critically. And simply you can just create a change ticket after the analysis of that report, and you want to action those. This is simply create a service request, and Maestro will then assign the workflow to those kernel patching, essentially starting with, let's say, the sandbox environment, and then seeing the results, and then doing the same thing in the downstream environment. So it's applied across the board in terms of ability to associate the use case to it.
Yeah, and that just gave me an idea that we probably need to implement that. It should be pretty simple to read all the vulnerabilities that we
Hmm.
collect on
Hmm.
Linux.
Uh-huh.
and understand the match to the patch level, current patch level of the
Hmm.
Linux system, and
Right.
suggest which ones need to be upgraded, right?
Yes, yes, yes. And that could be an autonomous operation that runs, say, let's say a weekly scan and then a
Exactly. Yeah.
recommended list of patching. Because patching right now, unfortunately, with SAP customers, they're waiting for the patching Tuesday. They only patch what is impacted by SAP critical notes that came out, but the real kind of cyber security stance should be that you are constantly analyzing the threat vector and then applying that to your landscape and seeing which waves of system should be patched and when. So I think this will greatly reduce the amount of work to analyze it and also associate the actual automation. So the real point here is that end to end, it's not just doing analysis, but then allowing you to follow on and schedule the work, account for that change, and then implement the change.
Yeah, and actually you can do it not even wait for a week,
Hmm.
a weekend, but do it hourly. Read
Hmm.
the so it can analyze the latest CVEs
Hmm.
posted, and if there is a match, it will schedule
Oh, it create a
the
ticket,
patch.
right? So the agent can create another ticket for the.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so the create a ticket or create a process with approval, and then do the patch on the weekend, something like this. So that's,
Mhm.
but at least you can get alerted that there is a CVE that matches one of your Linux
Yeah. Right.
machines that are not patched to the level
Remember,
that
we
required.
also do similar with the SAP security nodes, right? I mean, we're monitoring SAP's own security nodes applicable to any particular system that we have under management. The same thing there. If you have a high critical CVE that is released, then it shows up against one of the systems that are under management. That also allows you to kind of raise an incident for a human to say approve, and that S node then can either be implemented depending on what the node implementation is. There could be multiple automation associated with that. But at this point, the problem is that people are too busy to check these and don't see the relationship between that node because the node is general. When you put out, it's like general in terms of applicability. Then you're looking into your own landscape and you need to analyze which system is impacted. And then you have to see whether, the whole landscape from, sandbox, dev, QA, prod could be scheduled and planned as a remediation action.
Yep.
Okay, so we talked
Okay.
about patching. So let's move on. What else do we play with?
Okay, so here we have another sample. So you probably want to talk about that. This is related to SUM,
Right.
SAP Update Manager, your favorite topic, right?
Well, as we know, are either staying put or they are maintaining or they are migrating to Rise or they're already on Rise and they're looking to upgrade their system. We have customers that may be on Rise S4 and maybe they're 3 or 4 years old that haven't been component-wise updated to latest support packs, etc. So some is the SAP user and the software update manager, and most of the technical maintenance work for lifecycle is done through some. And so with our solution around monitoring and co-pilot around some itself, the process of upgrading or depending on whether you're just doing a simple patching or whether it's going to be a total system migration can be lengthy. It could be anything a few hours up to a few days and a few weeks. In this particular case, we ran an upgrade and a migration at the same time to a RISE environment. And Maestro here was the sidekick, essentially worked alongside of a human that's doing the actual sum run, analyzing the log. It's checking applicability of what logs in what phase, and it's also doing projections of finish time for particular phase or the finish time of the sum itself for the completion of the upgrade. So there is a constant, sidekick that's looking over your shoulder, helping you analyze errors that comes up. Like for instance, in this case, it found like there was connection errors with the Oracle connection to the timeout. during a particular phase when exploring the repository, right? So you can see some of that. And again, this could go on for hours or days, and you have this constant audit of what's going on. It's analyzing all the time because our tool has ability to look into the upgrade logs, not only the global log, but every phase. So that can be fairly taxing on whoever's doing the upgrade to actually even have bandwidth to go and analyze issues. And so you have a capability here to demonstrate that you don't have to do upgrade using old-fashioned style, just like manually plowing through it. You have ability to have a sidekick, a co-pilot along your upgrade.
Yeah. So that's another great example of how we can analyze the unstructured data, in essence, all the logs, all the statuses of the processes, put it together into a human readable form.
Interestingly, when we were doing this one, it actually alerted me when it hit the error, and I got a notification to the ticket that it found an error and it stuck. So I could let some run and go to sleep and get notified when there's an error, and then it has analysis of what the error is pertaining to and point me to potential remediation. So this is something that is, I would say, very valuable for lifecycle management maintenance as a whole.
Yeah. Okay. So let's now touch upon plumbing, how the all possible and so on. First, let's see what agents really are. In IT Conductor, everything pretty much is an activity, right? So these are different types, and you can see that some of them succeeded. That's meaning they are one-off. Usually they triggered by something again, by a recovery action, by a human manually, another agent could trigger. So these are one-off, and you see one is waiting, it's actually cyclical. So that one is a customer support assistant, right? So what it does, it periodically wakes up, and this is a normal modus operandi for IT Conductor. So our activities can be cyclical, can be one-off, part of the process. Everything applies to the AI agent as well. AI agent can run periodically and check every 15 minutes for new tickets, like it does, customer support, and do whatever it needs to do. It has a memory, so it remembers what happened before. It compacts the memory over time, so it only stores the kind of summaries, because otherwise it's gonna explode in size. So there's all flexibilities that allow us to remember what it did before. It has associated objects it touched, tickets it replied to, and stuff like this. If you put the agent inside the workflow, so what you're really doing is optimizing the workflows instead of doing manual if, then, else, what. So instead of like 10 boxes that deal with certain conditions and everything else, you can put a single one and instead program, in essence, in English, right? You tell it what to do and it will figure it out because it has all the tools and stuff like this. So that actually opens lots of opportunities and possibilities. So now, how does it really connect to the world? And these are so-called tools, right? So we build our own tooling system. It's very similar to MCP, but we don't use MCP internally. We don't need to, because we run inside IT Conductor's namespace, and it's all code-based. You don't need microservices or overhead. We have a universal store, and so these are the agents, the tools. We classify them also based on we have a category, right? So you can limit the number of what tools the agent can see, because it's all impacts the context windows. If you just dump all the tools that you have, it will run out of context window because it needs to send them every time on every turn. So for that reason, we have the ability to narrow the scope. For example, I'm dealing with answering tickets. Okay, so then you use the incident category. And then I also want to give access to, I don't know, SUM. So you give access to SUM. And as you can see, the names speak for themselves, right?
Right.
So they say, get this, update incident, resolve incident, create incident comment. So you create a tool for whatever you need to. So with the SUM, it's mostly read-only, right? Because we're not doing anything in SUM remotely. But you can see they can get console log, stats log, process tree, this whole thing. So that allows it to travel and walk the tree and understand, go deeper, shallower, whatever you need to. So, for example, the all category is always applicable to every AI agent. So they kind of share a basis. And you can see that there's a bunch of stuff that you can do. Fetch web page. Since you search for a web, then fetch one. Linux system, statuses, whatnot. You can update state, run a process, run a recovery. Pretty much gives you the ability to execute other activities, right? And also for agent tools allow you to create a new AI agent or run AI agent definition that you already predefined, find and stuff like this. So this really gives pretty much, and the beauty of it is that you can add new tools on the fly. So this all sits in the IT-Conductor object store that allows us to represent anything. So you need to add new one. Yeah, you go add new one. And you'll be able to provide the parameters and do whatever. And we have many types of activities. So the types, that's internal types, allows you to get object attribute. So pretty much programming model that you can, with few clicks, you can add a new functionality to the agent. And the agent will see it right away and will able to use it.
I see. It's this pretty powerful catalog of tools. I mean, we keep growing this, and the more we grow, it's the training of the platform to allow all of these agentic workflow to tap possible actions it can do. So it's getting skills, basically.
Yeah, and one of the interesting approaches also is how does it know about IT Conductor capabilities? It's actually pretty simple. So we created the tool for IT Conductor docs, which is online. And there should be somewhere.
Yeah, so we have a wiki for documentation and even videos on how to do stuff, right? So it's learning.
Yeah, here it is. So the search IT Conductor docs. And one of the interesting applications was that we have this reporting capabilities. And it is XML based, so you have instructions in XML, and it's all documented. So you actually can now ask it to create a report on certain things, and it will go and generate the XML for the report based on the documentation, and it actually works.
Well, let's talk about a little bit, if you could shine some light here. We're not talking about IT Conductor doing AI as in just basic like a chatbot stuff. I mean, this is fully integrated with data that we already have, so it's context aware, and we have the tooling that allows it to kind of pull its skills and maybe spin off multiple agents to get a complex task done. It has memory, right? But we have capability to store what it's done before and all of the context related, just like in that context where we're doing the upgrade. That's just a really long process. But all of these converge together also allow us to tap multiple LLMs, right? We can actually say whatever model the customer wish to use as part of that LLM connection, we can actually provision that out of the box. Have the general ones that everybody get, but they can assign whatever they prefer.
Yeah, let me touch upon that. From the memory perspective, so yes, we store memory in IT Conductor, so it's just another object for us. But we allow you to associate the memory with a single process, a single AI agent, or if they are orchestrated, part of the flow, so you can share the memory. So there would be a same memory updated and then provided for the next, fed into the next turn or agent execution. From the perspective of choosing an LLM, that just shows the internals, how it works internally. Actually, we configure a default model, and it can be done for system-wide or for individual tenant. So each tenant can create their own configuration. And what we use a Amazon Bedrock.
Right.
So that allows us to dynamically pool the available models there.
There's a big long list.
Yeah, and choose which one you want to use,
Right,
and
right.
it can be overridden based on the individual agent if necessary, or tenant, for example, made default for a tenant, and that gives a flexibility. There's lots of tune-ups here. You can say, what the memory anchor is, meaning yours or process and stuff like this. So it finds all the related. It has attachments to the AI agent, so you can attach files and objects, and that will feed them into. So it's all automated. The context, plus you can control how much what's your budget for the tokens and stuff like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And we also
Consumption. We are measuring the consumption as well, right?
and we collect the input-output tokens. So there's a way to measure consumption on individual basis or on a tenant level.
hmm
How many input-output tokens were consumed. So we'll log all that information.
Okay, that's pretty powerful stuff here. So in essence, what all of this brings together is our true vision of always end-to-end scenario, right? So the intelligent automation for IT operations doesn't happen just it doesn't have to be just like classical stuff. It can be a combination of classical automation combined, because those automation itself is deterministic, and we can create tools out of that. Now AI can use that as a part of its skill sets and catalogs to address whatever the need is based on, let's say, the service request ticket, and then provide intelligent analysis of real data, right, with the context, like you see in the health check. It's not predetermined, right? Because health check means anytime in the system, all the system that we monitor and manage has different alerts and things going on. So it's using its tools to analyze those and then make recommendations according to the findings. So it's not a static thing. So this is kind of the power of orchestration versus just a single tool, right?
Yeah. I mean, this really opens up a lot for orchestration. Just a standard orchestration that was done before. I mean, nothing really changed. What changed is ability to program it in plain English, right?
Now it's much more efficient, right?
Yeah, and then workflow is much shorter
Mm-hmm.
as you define them, because really agent can do 2/3 of the long
Logic.
workflow. You just describe items and that's it. So you condense that. You let the LLM understand what it means. Is it efficient? Probably not very efficient from energy perspective.
Energy, top of the list concern. But yeah, well, now it's the art of possible, right? Everything that's possible doesn't mean you should be doing it. You probably need to have some kind of a guardrail again.
I'd say balance.
Yeah, balance. Yeah, balance. That's good.
Yeah, because there's of course complexity that you want to eliminate on the one hand, and on the other hand, you don't want to spend all your money on tokens, right? Because
Right.
the bigger it gets, the more they charge you, and in the end, you end up paying a lot. So it's a balance between these two, essentially. And of course, the connectivity. So you need to be connected to LLM, and that it might be slow, it might be, overburdened right now, and something like this. So it depends where you are, of course. So all of these need balance, right? Life,
Yeah. Yeah.
life
Yeah,
need
like you
balance.
explore, but then hone in on focus the solution based on the need, and then design it for balance between economics and also problem solving, right? So problem solving can happen multiple ways, a combination of people and process and the platform. But FinOps is just as important. I think now more than ever in the age of AI, compared to when just standard FinOps for cloud. I remember cloud cost and all that driving of consumption. And now we need the next generation of being able to track and have visibility to the workflow, because it can associate whether these are generating real value. It can automate things, but at what cost? And that can be measured over time as models come out more efficiently, and platforms can do it cheaper because we find ultimate, you know, best model that work with certain use case, it will reduce the cost and the timing as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the future is
It's here.
it's here. Absolutely, yeah. We live in the future.
And so this is exciting. I'm glad we are able to kind of share a little bit of overview on how IT Conductor has been innovating around the AI and including that in kind of the workflow orchestration that we already do, and including this agentic framework and addressing the real need of whether it's an incident management, whether it's a process execution, a long-term kind of optimizing what we call autonomous operation. So ideally, most things that need to be automated to help you run autonomously can free up the people to address more of guardrail and governance and architecture rather than just manually doing things from scratch. And the loss of time in analyzing and then addressing issues could really affect your availability and your service level that you deliver to the business. So I think this is the real kind of a game changer that we see. And the other possibility means that as the tools grow, the catalog of services you can offer for autonomous operation grows with it. And therefore, that's the efficiency that we're trying to drive from IT Conductor standpoint. Okay, well, appreciate it, David. And I think we will never run out of scenarios to deploy this on. I think customers are bringing use case every day, and hopefully we can talk to some people have feedback on how can you use this in certain scenarios. We'd love to hear from you. And this has been another episode of Linh Talks Tech, and I'm sure we'll be talking more AI in the near future here. But it's been good for you to join us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.